How's it going?
What more could you need?
All right. My name's Chris. This gentleman's name is Chris. I've known him for, how long have you been here now?
6 weeks now.
6 weeks. I've been here, this is in my third month. Most of the time we've roomed together. Just briefly, you're US citizen, correct?
Correct.
Ex-military?
Correct.
Correct, right. And you've lived in Phnom Penh how long?
7.5 years.
So you know how Cambodia works, all right? Briefly, I just want to ask you a few questions. Living conditions here. All right, let's start off. You can see the rooms.
There's seven of us in a room that it was at maximum is for 4 people, ideally for 2, but maximum 4, and there's 7.
Okay.
So with 1 toilet for 7, and this is every single room is like this right now.
Right. Are we provided with toilet paper?
There's a bucket of water.
Right. Are we provided with toothpaste?
If you can afford it and buy it through the window.
Yeah. So
if you can buy it through the window.
And all right, both with other videos I've commented on food, so I won't do it too much. But we've both lost weight, and we had a gentleman in here recently had scales, and you and I jumped on those scales every day to try and see how much weight we were gaining. And I was so pissed off because I lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
While I'm doing my people I've been talking to don't believe that I'm losing weight, but you've seen me. I've lost weight.
You can tell just by the vascularity. You know, that's not because you're leaning out. It's because you're basically your body is starving.
I know.
So,
and also you picked up, and without me knowing that, I picked up rashes from my arms, from here, and I really don't want to show it, but I have been picking up these.
And that's everybody.
And you've noticed on them.
That's
and
everybody.
This is either from scabies or from ants.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving on from that. We might be lucky to be going home soon, but as you and I know, we don't believe it till we're actually out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Now conditions are changing, I think, for the worse. Tonight there will be 120 women coming into this block, which is designed for maybe 40 people, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
40.
Well, there's bedding enough.
Well,
for
not
40.
including the VIP, where if you pay $30 a night, you have your own private room. So, yeah, you'd say 50 maximum, 10 of which are VIP, quote unquote VIP rooms.
Right.
In the regular 7 to 8 per cell, yeah, about 40 on here, the regular block. 50,
Right.
Maybe 50 altogether. Now they're going to pile in 100 more. Not to mention, as you said, basically a unisex, where you have men and women mingling literally during the daytime with cells open. You know, in addition to you have actual convicted murderers, convicted child molesters, with mentally insane, mentally unstable people who have clear schizophrenic, bipolar problems, who are not being treated. They don't have medicine. They don't have access to medicine.
Right.
People that are clearly mentally unstable, mixing with regular people who just, you know, maybe they got abandoned by an employer.
Yeah.
You know, they got ripped off. They got cheated out of their work. They didn't get paid their salary, and they overstayed for no fault of their own. They got screwed over by an employer.
Right.
Mingling with both sexes, you know, men and women, and you've got, as I said, convicted child molesters, convicted murderers, people with drug problems, with people who are just, you know, overstayed because of a shady boss.
Up to 1 or 2 weeks visa,
You know.
people are put in with that. Getting back to the mentally ill, both you and I have noticed violence against the mentally ill people who have literally no understanding of why they're here, but unfortunately the mental issues in Cambodia, they're uneducated about them, and we've both seen violence happen against mentally unstable people that have no reason to understand why they're here. And both you and I, can you explain some of the violence you've seen?
Well, I mean, the most blatant examples are especially when those from China who have clear mental issues that are being, they realize they're getting pushed back to China. And they are literally they're holding the sides of the paddy wagons because they know they're going to China. And then first comes the tasers, then come the fists and the sticks, and they literally will break their arms, you know, and just to get them in there so they can cuff them up. So now, obviously, neither you and I have any idea what it's like in China, but I'm assuming it's worse than it is here, which is hard to believe.
Right.
But these are mentally ill people who they clearly need medication,
They
which
need
they're
mental
not
help,
getting.
yeah, rather than a prison cell.
And all they know is getting tasered and getting beaten.
Right.
So
we've also seen a man handcuffed outside, right?
for several days.
Handcuffed, and this man was severely mentally ill
Yes.
because he couldn't speak any of the language.
Yes.
He was handcuffed. He was also made to urinate in a Coke bottle.
Yeah.
Right? And I saw him getting beaten regularly because he thought it's time to go outside.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're mixing the wrong crowd with people who should not be here. Moving on to women, you live in a country where it is one of the most heavily populated prison areas. Do they let women in with men?
Not even, not a chance.
No.
Not a
Do
chance.
they let women in with men here? I mean,
routinely.
And do they let women against the women's, sometimes against the woman, well, most of the time against the woman's will, in with men? Routinely. Do you find that disturbing?
That's beyond, it's beyond any comprehension that we have in the West as far as how correctional facilities are run in the US or in the West.
Right.
Yes, not to mention, that's in the regular blocks where, for regular corrections, you talk about the VIP section, the quote unquote VIP section, where you pay $30 a night.
Yes.
And then you have legitimate concerns of actual human trafficking, because there are things going on over there that are very disturbing.
So both you and I agree that those women are going in the cells against their wills, but the men in the cells are paying for those women to come in there, because I've heard screaming from women, and I have it on tape, from these women who are screaming about "let me out."
And you had photos.
Okay, I'll just cut into this video a bit and explain what's going on. About just under 2 years ago, myself and other foreigners were detained in the Cambodian detention center, which is detention. It's basically a prison, and they let us use our phones. And for the time I was detained there, which was quite a while, I decided to video and record a lot of just what was going on, and that's including talking with other detainees, prisoners, just showing the conditions of what actually happened and the process you have to go through, which was pretty horrific in some stages, and how we dealt with it and how we got out of there. And it was a difficult process. You'll notice in the video look a bit different now, because at the time I think I was weighing about 69 kilos. Now I'm back to 90 kilos normal weight. But the reason myself and others were had lost so much weight is because they basically starved us. So I've got quite a few of these. If there's any interest, I'll keep on going with it. But for now, I'll just upload and see what the reactions are. If the reactions are positive, that people want to see more, I've got quite a lot more just explaining and interviewing about the conditions, the food, how to get out, and why we were in there. All right, I'll let you get back to this, but I'll talk some more perhaps in the future. Video we had, because I know you're a private investigator, we later found out the man walking past in the video is wanted for...
The move from Malaysia?
From Malaysia.
Yeah, he committed homicide.
He admitted. Yeah, and he cut the man's throat.
And that's another part of the the absurdity, not just the absurdity, but the unethical levels of the, if you can call it correctional facility. You have literally convicted murderers, convicted pedophiles, admitted murderers, and admitted pedophiles, mixing with people with mental issues, not just the mentally insane, not just the schizophrenic, the bipolars, people with drug problems, people that need to be in treatment facilities, not mixing in with hardcore violent offenders, multiple violent offenders.
Now I know you've been in Abu Dhabi or seen similar prisons. They would not put these people together like there, but here Phnom Penh is a different story, right? Now, thank you for that. Moving on quickly, you were in this room with me for 2 weeks. The room went fine. One day they decided to lock us in without no reason, and you had a slight complaint. Why are you locking us in when we cannot get exercise, because we're in a room which is, 12 foot by 8 foot? and it's dusty, it's dirty. If you can see upstairs, we don't have a fan working,
Yeah.
and we need fresh air. And you made a complaint, and you got punished.
Yeah,
for
well,
that.
that's a one-way ticket to solitary confinement. So,
Right.
and again, you know,
You-
I
you
say
were
I
sent
was
to
lucky.
solitary
I was
confinement?
lucky, you know, again, quote unquote, I was lucky. I was only there for 3 days, no electricity, with another person who was clearly mentally insane.
Yeah.
So I did have a quote unquote cellmate, except it was someone who was mentally disturbed.
Yeah.
That the two of us banged our heads against the wall
Right.
for literally 3 full days.
Yeah.
In the
And you
equivalent
went to
of
a room, so no electricity. At times I've seen no running water
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and asking for electricity or water is a waste of time.
yeah.
Okay. Also, you've got, you're lucky to have a friend on the outside that has managed to, through great difficulty, when we were literally starving,
and via bribery.
yeah, no, to bring us some food.
Yeah, one of my employees.
Yes,
Yeah,
now-
I have 3 Kamais that work for me.
Right.
And she's been, luckily she works, I mean, she lives just a couple kilometers away in
Right.
Sensuk. And luckily, because of the work I've been able to give to her and outsource to her, she's able to afford the bribes that are necessary to get to the gate, the main gate, and get
Yeah.
to the secondary gate.
Well,
So
I'm going to ask you questions on that. To get a visitor here for us, first they must pay $10 at the guard, at the gate,
at the exterior,
to come and visit and bring us food.
that's just to get into,
That's to
into
get
the parking
into the
lot,
gate,
to the parking lot.
and then for the
another
kind
another 5 to
policeman
10
to open the
into
gate.
into the
There's a
courtyard.
padlock to open to bring us here.
Yeah.
She must pay, or everybody must
Yeah.
pay $5.
Yeah, so $15 to $20
And
just
the,
to get
the
anything
cameraman, Gabe, who's photographing this, he got some food brought with 4 Coca-Colas, which he was looking forward to because we don't get fizzy drink. They kindly drank that for themselves.
Yeah, well,
So a lot of the food that is brought, we get up to maybe 60% of it, and they keep the other 40% and have a party.
and it's the same with
Yeah.
Western Union. If there's money being sent from from friends, family, from coworkers,
I know.
from customers, I've tried to run my business through my smartphone when I can get a Wi-Fi signal, and you know, maintain the relationships with my customers. Obviously, I'm getting paid
Right.
through whether Western Union or
Yeah.
World Remit, and if that money is if it even can arrive, the guards are taking their cut out of
Yeah.
that. So it is what it is. It's straight up bribery.
Yeah, and you've also seen, we've had an argument here, not an argument, when you, me and Rambo decided we needed some bread, some milk, and there was one other thing. He might have needed some tomatoes or something, and the cost came to about $8, which we were prepared to pay 12 because it was going to cost the $4 to go 100 meters to get it.
50%.
And I still remember we
surcharge.
looked at each other because the guard said, not enough.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my God, how much do we need to pay? But what we had to do, we had to cut back on the bread
Yeah.
to
And then we
get
did
what
get
we
it.
wanted.
We got it. We put it on a stick and shoved it up through
Through
the
the
bars,
window.
and we had to take it out slice by slice because it wouldn't fit through the
Yeah,
bars.
yeah.
to
Oh,
get,
and just getting back to Western Union, because it has happened to me, and unfortunately my embassy
Well,
doesn't
to
believe it.
everyone, it's not
Well,
just
no,
that's
to everyone.
routine. That
My
is just,
embassy
that's the
does not
SOP.
believe it,
So,
that for me to get sent $300 or $400 through the embassy, there is 25% or more, depending on the guard,
Yeah.
goes to them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't get it.
yeah, you
Correct?
don't get it. You don't get it.
Correct? I
Correct.
mean, you've had money sent to you, and I remember you asking me, or me, we discussing
Yeah.
how much do we
Yeah.
have to give him,
Yeah.
and working out,
Yeah.
because
And
it's,
it's either way. You can either use the guards to get the money, and then they will take their cut, or, for example, as we talked about, the ladies the Khmer ladies that work for my company,
Right.
if they bring it, because they can go and get it for me, except they have to pay their bribes. So it works out the same. Either you're going to pay the bribes to the guards, or the Khmer workers that we have will have to pay the bribes themselves.
Yeah.
Either way, they're going to get their cut.
right,
So now, with that being said, with one huge caveat, that is not across the board. There are many good, honest police officers and immigration officers who hate that. They hate
Yeah.
the fact that there are guys that are in this department that are scamming with bribes
Yeah.
across the board. And
Yeah.
they want to crack down on that.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to give the impression that that is across the board in the immigration department,
Yeah.
because there are many immigration officers who hate that,
Yeah.
because that stains them.
Yeah.
But there are also many others, especially the younger ones, that they were taught very bad lessons
Yeah.
from previous, generations of immigration officers.
Yeah.
They were taught the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
So things are changing, but they are changing very slowly, and it does still
both,
exist.
both
It's
you and I are
pervasive.
lucky a bit because another thing my embassy doesn't believe, but you can confirm this. I know you speak Chinese. You know I speak Khmer, and we can listen at times to what's going on and understand and keep it between ourselves. So we've learned from that, and we both know that the Chinese get treated a lot better than us Western citizens because they are willing to pay, but you and I have the morals or the sense that this is wrong. This is wrong, that we need to pay $100 for $20 worth of food or something. And just moving on very quickly before I forget this question. We're both out of here soon, hopefully. What will happen to us if this video is ever released that the police see? You've lived here 7 years. I know what I know, but I'd like to hear it from you. What could happen?
The good, first I'll give you the good. There's going to be a lot of very high-ranking officers that are going to see it and they're going to be furious. Not at us, because they're going to know how truthful it is, and because they're going to be so pissed at the lower-ranking officers that are continuing this pervasive bribery-based, immigration detention center policy protocol. Because there's a lot of guys that they don't like that, and that stains their legacy. Because law enforcement in Cambodia has come a long way in the last 25, 30 years, and they're going to be pissed because they want to stamp out corruption as much as anyone else in the West does. On the other side, there's a lot of guys who they don't care. They're basically criminals hiding behind badges that are still within the system, and they're the proverbial, couple of bad apples, ruin the bunch. And they're going to be, they will look at us as if we have a bullseye on our back if we ever come back in this country.
So it could create large problems.
It could cause huge problems for us.
Right, and this is problems where we could fall off the back of a motorbike
And
or
have
a
it,
truck,
exactly, get an accident.
and the
So-
common thing would be our heart stop,
Yeah.
which is what happens to any death.
Yeah.
How did he die? His heart stopped.
Heart attack,
And last thing, you know why I was put in Presar prison for 8 months.
Yeah.
It got reported so annoyingly wrong in the Herald that I'm furious. And I was in prison for the theft of $15 of a man that stole my phone. And they got the photo of me from where?
From your phone that was stolen from you.
And
from the actual thief who brought the phone that he stole from you to the police to use the photos to identify you who, in your own stubbornness, you did retaliate to steal back from someone who stole from you in the first place. But the irony was that he used photos.
You know where the photo was from? I told you, didn't I? Where the photo was from? It was from New Zealand.
Yeah.
And also he was the son.
But he was connected, and
he's the son of a policeman.
Yeah.
And you know how long I did in prison for that?
You were 7 or 8 months.
8 months.
8 months.
In prison for that. And did I learn my lesson? Never steal, never try and return get your stolen goods back from a Khmer policeman connected son. And I paid for it dearly, and I'm still paying for it now. But thanks, bro.
Hey.
We're going to see each other again.
Yes,
but very unlikely here. But somewhere, and I owe you a pizza, you owe me a beer, and we need to put on some weight again.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thanks so much.